Want a fun fact about chess players? The majority of them play chess while high. That is, while on drugs. And the reason that I put that in quotations is, although that statement is technically true, it's a bit deceiving. And that's because the majority of these players who are doing drugs is just caffeine, either in the form of coffee, tea, soda, energy drinks, most popular nowadays, or maybe even a little bit of chocolate. Now that brings up the question of, will drugs help you play better? Well, since caffeine is the drug that the majority of chess players, or most people do around the world, caffeine is probably the most prominent drug on the planet. And like I said, because it's just in so many popular beverages and things like that. Let's discuss how caffeine will affect your game, and then maybe go into a little bit about other drugs. So, caffeine is a stimulant. That means that it makes you hyper-aware, more active in your mind. And at the surface, that sounds like it would obviously be good for playing chess. And, you want to be more active in your mind, be more, aware while you're playing chess. And yes, it can be in certain instances. And I would say that for fast games, blitz and rapid and stuff like that, at least a moderate amount of caffeine could potentially help you, because it makes you think faster, and so you're able to react faster to the moves being played, and you're able to meet the time controls better. However, it can also make you too stimulated, too hyper-aware, especially if you consume copious amounts of caffeine. So I'm going to speak for myself for a moment, because I've been to the extremes, to the point where I'm at now, where I consume virtually no caffeine. I mean, I don't drink soda, coffee, tea. I don't eat any kind of candies with chocolates. Nothing. No caffeine whatsoever. And then on the opposite end, I've been to I was at a point where I was drinking, say, a lot of coffee, or not coffee, soda. Yeah, I even drank coffee at one point, tea, any kind of caffeinated beverages, a lot, So I've been at both extremes and everywhere in between, and I've played chess on, at every point in that too. And so I could tell you from my personal experience, and then I'll try to say what I've seen as well. So from my personal experience, I noticed that yes, if I drink a moderate amount of caffeine, that it would help me play faster, and maybe at a depth of 1 or 2, maybe even 3 moves, thinking ahead into the position, it would help me, okay? But as far as deep depth calculation, say 4 or 5, several moves into the position, caffeine wouldn't help me. I was, even with moderate amounts of caffeine, just like 1 cup of green tea, which is really low in caffeine, because I'm overstimulated, my mind wants to work, you want to talk faster, you want to, move faster, things like that. I wouldn't be able to get into that deep concentration and start calculating, very deeply into the position when I'm on caffeine. And so maybe if you do play a lot of blitz games, you want to move fast, yeah, that could help you. But if you're playing in a classical game, say, 45-minute or hour time controls for the whole game, and your other opponent is sitting there taking their time and thinking about all their moves, and you're sitting there so amped up on caffeine, they move and you just move reactively, not even thinking about it. That's kind of what caffeine does, okay? And so it comes down to, what kind of chess you play, and what you want to get out of the game. Do you want to play faster, or do you want to play better? If you want to just play faster, if you just play, bullet games all the time, which are 1 minute for all your moves, okay, then some caffeine is going to help you. Bullet chess, you don't really need to think, more than 2 or 3 moves ahead into position. There's not even enough time in the whole game. And so, yeah, get amped up on caffeine and just play really fast, and you're going to beat the time controls a lot of the times. And I think that's what a lot of, bullet and blitz players do. But my personal opinion, if you're going to play classical time controls, you got a lot of time to think. You don't want to be amped up on a lot of caffeine. It's going to make you too jittery. It's going to make you want to be too reactive, again, wanting to move too fast. And so I wouldn't recommend it. As far as what I've seen from other players, I've seen both extremes. I've seen players who, again, don't consume any caffeine, or someone like Hikaru Nakamura, one of the best in the United States, or the best in the United States, he's notoriously consumes a lot of caffeine through energy drinks. And so, it would be improper for me to say that, caffeine doesn't help you at all when someone who's way better than me, best in the whole country, the United States, does consume a lot of caffeine. So again, it comes down to the individual. It's something you have to test out yourself. But the point is to be aware that it is something that can affect your game. Maybe you play and you're like, why do I play so jittery? Why can I, concentrate better? Maybe because you consume too much caffeine. Or maybe you would be one of the players who would play much better, like me, without any caffeine whatsoever. And so, it's something to be aware of and something that you have to test. As far as other drugs, I've been in a unique position to where I've been incarcerated before. I was locked up for 6 years in prisons here in California. And there were times when people would do drugs and want to play me in chess. At the time where I was at, I was kind of the best in my dorm or whatever. And so people would always try to beat me, but sometimes they would be high on heroin or some, stimulant, whatever they were, and they would come and play. And honestly, I never really seen any kind of great change in people's game. If anything, heavy drugs, I would notice, hurt people's game. They wouldn't be able to concentrate as well. Especially if you're on some drug and you're not sleeping for days, that's not going to help your game. As I said in a previous video, in order to play good chess, you have to be, healthy in mind. You got to get good sleep. And if you're not sleeping for days on end, or if your mind is just so whacked out on a drug, it's not going to help you. But mild stimulants, again, like caffeine, and maybe there's other ones out there that might help you. But I think my personal opinion is your best tool is your own mind and just basic foods. Make sure you get enough water and food and nutrients. Again, like I said in the other video. Now, there is one, not drug, it's not a drug, but there is one thing that you can consume that I've noticed personally for myself that does help my chess game, and that's sugar. Again, it's something that I've been to the opposite extremes on, because there was points where I was dieting my life, so I would try to have no sugar because, a lot of sugar is just bad for your health and making you fatter, whatever. That has nothing to do with chess. And so there were points where I didn't consume like any sugar at all, and I noticed definitely that affected my chess game. I wasn't able to concentrate as much, able to think as in-depthly in the position, very much hindered my game. So I would say absolutely, definitely going to the extreme of not having any sugar, like, almost at all, not good. And now on the opposite end, there's been points where I consume at least a moderate amount of sugar. I make sure I have like a fruit, like an orange or maybe some strawberries or something like that. Definitely helps me improve my game. There's even times where, I treat myself to like an ice cream shake or something that has, more than a moderate amount of sugar, and it doesn't hinder my game. If anything, it improves my game. I feel almost more aware, like if I'm on caffeine, but again, sugar's not technically a drug. So take that with caution though, because sugar is something that could damage your health, so don't go out there and say, hey, I'm going to try to improve my chess game and consume, copious amounts of sugar. And no, don't hurt yourself. But it's another thing that you could test yourself on. Maybe you're kind of playing sluggishly and you're like, why, what am I doing wrong on the chessboard? See, this is the thing. I noticed that a lot of people, even chess professionals, when they're trying to give advice of how to, better people's chess, they only recommend things on the chessboard for the most part. Oh, you got to learn the endings, and you got to, learn this checkmate or this opening and all this kind of stuff. And very rarely, if ever, do I hear them mention anything about, getting sleep or eating properly or anything like this. And so people, when they're sitting there trying to improve their chess, they're like, why can I play better? And they're thinking about just on the chessboard. No, being good at chess. That's what some of these videos are about. I'm trying to get to people that being good at chess starts off of the chessboard. You have to get your body straight first, and mind, and your physical aspect, eating right and sleeping right and all that kind of stuff. Then go to the chessboard. Then start learning the openings and the end games and all those kinds of things. Okay, and so these are things that you have to test out with yourself. How much caffeine is good for you. How much sugar is good for you. How much water you should drink. I drink water, but maybe drinking too much would not be good, because you might have to sit there and pee a lot while you're at the chessboard. All things that you have to, work out with yourself. But the important thing is to be aware that these things can affect your game. Again, when you're questioning yourself, how come I'm not playing better? How come I can't play like that person? Well, maybe because that person is sleeping better than you. Maybe that person is eating better than you. Not because they learned better, they memorized the openings or anything like that. Think off the chessboard, then think on the chessboard. Good luck. You will get better.